move house, they curtail their social activities, and in some cases they become depressed and severely anxious.
You do feel as though you've been violated to a certain degree. I used to describe it as mental rape, and everybody said, oh, that's a bit dramatic, isn't it? I said, well, you try being on the receiving end of it. He never touched me, but I felt like he was there, inside my house, inside me for a while. It was very, very disturbing. But what you can't do is treat everybody as though they're a potential nutcase and not send out the photos, because the majority of times that's all anybody wants, and that's what we're there for. We set ourselves up.
I got to tell you, I believe that these stalkers, I really do, if they drive people mad, they should put into mental homes. They're not fit to walk the streets. And that's fact, if they really do monster harm, hang the bastards. I mean that, hang them. Get rid. They're no good to humanity at all. They go around bothering people. I'm very serious about this. These people need to be chastised, hung, put away forever, and all put in one room together and let them stalk each other.
I've been going to snooker tournaments since I was a little girl. I don't remember when I first saw Stephen, but it would have been about 1991. I'd never written fan letters to anybody before. I just said, I think you're a great player, and I don't suppose I can do anything to make you any better, but I'd dearly like to be a member of your fan club. I wrote probably 3 more letters. And then I received a letter in August of '92 instructing me not to write any more fan letters. No reason was given. I felt very, very upset. For a few weeks nothing happened. And then I tried to plan how I could get revenge. And I had read something in our local newspaper about a film actress who had been receiving threatening letters, threatening to kill her. And I thought, why don't I do the same? So I did. I can't remember exactly what I said in it, but basically what I was saying was that I was going to shoot Stephen Hendry.
I think that violence is imminent in stalking because the stalker is inevitably frustrated. The stalker inevitably is brought up against the limitations of reality, and that can produce anger, and anger can lead to threats and to violence.
I've been to snooker tournaments. There's no particular security. Nobody's searched when they go in. Anybody could take a gun in and shoot one of the competitors. It's a perfectly reasonable possibility. I wrote about 5 letters, all of a threatening nature. Possibly obscene as well, but I think it was the threats rather than the obscenity that caused so much hurt. They were only very short notes written on a computer at work. I felt an enormous amount of power. I knew I had such power over people's lives, and that is a tremendous feeling. To know that you can cause such harm to people by doing something as simple as writing a letter. I've never felt anything like it before in my life, no, and I doubt if I'll ever feel anything like it again. I believe the word drug is the best word to use. It's very like a drug. You know at the time that you're doing something wrong, you know that you're causing a lot of distress to a lot of people, and you know that you're going to be the one that's going to suffer for it in the long run, but you can't stop. When I read about all the security measures that were now being taken at, I think it was the UK Open, it was only then that I was able to enjoy the fruits of what I'd done. I left all the notes anonymous, or at least I would only sign them an enemy or something like that. I also made threatening phone calls. I left long threatening messages. You're going to get what's coming to you. And I would use the F word as in an adjectival sense at some point during that sentence. Now, there was never a sense of guilt. I felt emboldened, but on a high as a result of discovering how much havoc I had wreaked. I made another telephone call, which, of course, was traced, and that was my downfall.
A sheriff has issued a warrant to apprehend a clerical assistant whose obsession with snooker
A woman
star
whose
Stephen
obsession with
Hendry
snooker
has
star
already
Stephen
led
Hendry
to
landed
being
her in
arrested.
court.
I
last
was
year.
charged and remanded in custody. I was a first-time offender. No criminal record whatsoever. Good character. I really think it was a very negative thing to do, to effectively send me to jail. He was the victim because I had been the victim. It was tit for tat.
A significant proportion of those who stalk are mentally disordered, and some of them are frankly mentally ill. The fact that they finish up stalking reflects a failure very often of adequate treatment and of adequate support and care in the community. If these people received the level of care and treatment that they need, they might not finish up plaguing their unfortunate victims.
I don't want to sound too political here, this care in the community shtick. There wouldn't be treatment, because they'd probably take him away for 3 weeks and you say, do you still like Cliff Richard? No, I hate him. Oh, you go home. And then suddenly they're stalking Cliff again. I actually think they've got to be locked away forever.
If somebody hurt me again like that, I expect that I would carry on a campaign of vengeance against them again. I'm thinking about it very rationally now, because I'm not in that situation. It isn't a rational state of mind, I know that. But it's not a state of mind that I could really say that I could control.
I think it's not just the person recognising they're ill. I mean, the health professionals have to recognise they're ill. And when we've had a number of stalkers who've gone along seeking help from general practitioners or even from mental health professionals who've been turned away because their disorder and its treatment wasn't recognised.
In 1990, when I was admitted to hospital, the psychiatrist that I saw then told me that I had a very vivid imagination and that I was living in a world of my own, but there was I wasn't ill as such, and so I was discharged. I don't think that stalking in the traditional kind of sense, as I understand it to mean, is quite what I would ever do, because I prefer the safety of distance, and therefore the telephone would always be my chief weapon.
We now live in a society where there are a significant proportion of our fellow citizens who live very lonely, isolated lives, but at the same time they're bombarded with images of other people's intimacy. So a lonely, sad individual sitting in their one-room flat can watch large numbers of desirable people apparently talking to them, and it feeds their fantasies. And as long as there are celebrities offering a pseudo-intimacy virtually 24 hours a day through television and radio, there are bound to be stalkers.
I think as a celebrity, I think if I can speak for us all, then yes, we do tend to feel vulnerable. A lot of people say that we bring it on ourselves, we put ourselves up on the television or wherever it is, so we have to take whatever comes. But I'm afraid I don't agree with that. I don't believe anybody should have to put up with this, whether they're a celebrity, a sports star, an average housewife. Nobody should have to put up with this.
It's a sign of success. Don't knock your stalkers, it means you're successful.
I think maybe what we should do is if you have been stalked, is to have like a little job done sticker, like they did on Bob a Job Week with the Scouts. So you just have a sticker in your window saying, I've been stalked. So if somebody turns up and goes, oh, all right, okay, sorry, leave you alone.
I was wrong to let myself be caught. That's where I went wrong. If I did it again, I would obviously have learnt from my mistakes and would make sure that I was never caught again.
I think I've been a victim, really, of Klaus.
Such a lovely day, and we've still got the beast on the throne.
I want you, Mike, and nobody else but you! I've got no intentions of marrying anybody else. I only want you and you alone!